We're going to be covering all things Ekahau today. If we haven't met before, my name is Matt. I work for Ekahau. I do product marketing and ECSE. If you'd like to connect me on LinkedIn, you can find my profile there. And I promise you nothing but serious content and great product updates from us at the Ekahau team on my LinkedIn profile, especially Miko on the toilet. He was very enthusiastic about doing that for my video, weren't you, Miko? But probably my favorite comment from that video was like, give toilet guy a raise. Some reason Miko kind of agreed with him. So hopefully, Miko, you got that. The other kind of stuff we posted here, thank you to some of the people in the room that had fun with Photoshop on this picture for my job. I cannot show you some of those Photoshops, but I did get a good comment on this picture around like, I read Wi-Fi Playboy first, and he was like, you know what? I've certainly been called a lot worse, so you know what? I'm going to embrace being the Wi-Fi Playboy now, and this is going to be my new logo. I'm going to get it printed on some shirts. Come find me later, and we'll get them sorted for you. Now, if this isn't your first Wi-Fi design day, you're probably wondering, where is Mac? That usually he would be up on stage with me. And for some reason, Mac decided to spend his whole career becoming a Wi-Fi expert, building himself up, to then go and completely switch gears and change careers and now work in property. Which, if you know Mac, that is the most Mac thing he could have probably done. So we thank you for everything, Mac, and being a part of the team. But this is what I really think about his decision to go and do that. Yeah, no, I love you a lot still, don't worry. But with Mac leaving, that did actually open a door of opportunity. So we needed to replace Mac, and I'm actually going to be announcing who that is today, and they might even be here in the audience. So this person isn't so good that they have just one CCIE, they actually have two CCIEs. CWNE teaches a bunch of our Ekahau ECSE classes, speaks at lots of industry events, and also is just an all-round nice guy, and I think he knows a thing or two about whiskey. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you our newest member of the Ekahau team, Mr. Troy Martin. Troy, where are you? Hey!
Thank you, Matt, for that lovely introduction. Now, I don't want to attempt to replace Mac and get in the way of that relationship that you two shared. But I will say in my new role with Ekahau, I'll be looking after the ECSE program, continuing the long Ekahau tradition of delivering world-class training, partnered with some of the best wireless trainers in the industry. Now, you guys are all Ekahau users of the products and the tools, so I don't want to take up too much time for Matt's presentation, but if you see me at the break, at lunch, or later this evening, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ECSE program and what we can do with the Ekahau products and tools moving forward. So, thank you, Matt.
Hey, big round of applause for Troy. Thank you. Okay. So, there's a lot of the Ookla team here today. Ookla team, if you're here in the audience, please stand up for a second and give everybody a wave. So we've got team down here. And stand up. Stop being shy, guys. Come on. Where's the rest of the Ookla team? Some over the back, some are around. Come and speak to us. We've got a little table out the back, and you'll see us around. Please do come and ask questions. If you want to know anything about Ekahau, speed test, down detector, or root metrics, come and speak to the team. I look at the agenda today, and I just think, wow, what a lineup. We have got everything from probably the most experienced, knowledgeable person when it comes to Wi-Fi, all the way through to, not me, no. I would probably class myself somewhere in the bottom or to middle, maybe. I don't know. But we've got people that have never spoken at Wi-Fi Design Day before, and we've got people that have traveled from all around the world, US and Europe, to come here and speak to all of you today, and it's going to be a fantastic, packed agenda. Please do not plan to leave early. We have got a fantastic drinks reception planned for you, and we're going to have a great day and a really fun night. And I apologize now for all of your hangovers tomorrow. That's on me. Sorry. Okay. But what I do really love about this conference is seeing so many of my friends and getting us all together, and it really doesn't just feel like a conference to me, it feels like a real community. And today is obviously a one-day event. If you'd like to stay connected to your peers and other people in the Ekahau community, we have a public Slack channel. You're welcome to sign up and join it. Around 1,000-ish people in there now. So if you want to stay connected, you can grab it now or just come find me later and I can give you the link. So please do post about being here on your favorite social media, LinkedIn, X, whatever you call it. Use the hashtag Wi-Fi Design Day. Tag Ekahau and Open Reality. We have a photo booth out in the foyer area. just to warn you, I tried out this morning. It takes 4 pictures. So you do a picture and you take 4 more. I didn't realize that. You probably are smarter than me, would have noticed it. We have a board that you can hold up as well, get some pictures of that, or just take pictures of the event as well and share it on social media. Because at the end of today, we are actually going to be giving away an Ekahau Sidekick 2 and an ECSE design seat just from posting about being here. So that's not bad, right? Wow. Gosh. Okay. For a little bit more excitement about that, I'm going to do my post now, and I need all of your help. So I'm going to do a little video and say, Wi-Fi Design Day, let's go. And I'm going to pan to all of you, and it needs to be more excitement than that, for sure, because otherwise it's going to look real bad. Guys ready?
Let's go.
Okay. Wi-Fi Design Day, let's go. Thank you very much. That was very good. Okay, on with my presentation. Let's take a quick look at my agenda. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is we're going to do a live analysis of this network, and we're going to do a redesign and a new design of the theatre and the foyer, because I've come here and I've already surveyed it, and we're going to look at that together, and I'm going to show you some of the cool new features that you might not have seen, and I'm going to tell you about some new features that nobody has seen or heard about yet, and it's going to be revealed to you all for the first time at London. Whenever we walk into a room, and I know I've seen some of you doing it already, straight away, looking up. Anyone seen them in here, by the way? Because it's quite hidden. I haven't seen them, but out in the other places, we have seen the access points. 2 things I want to know. How good is the Wi-Fi? So obviously, I've surveyed already in here using Ekahau. And then the second thing that I want to know is how fast is the Wi-Fi? So obviously, using like speed test, integrate with our analyzer application to get an understanding of how fast the actual Wi-Fi is going to be for my internet throughput speeds. So let's do a live demo. It's worked fabulously so far. So what else could go wrong? Guess we'll see. So I'm going to do the demo first of all from my iPad. If that doesn't work, then we're going to stand up here and just make small talk for a little while. Okay, looking good. So. If you've not seen our survey application before, this is what it looks like on the iPad, and I've done a survey of the space, so you can see the paths that I've walked around the environment. And what we're going to do first is let's analyze the foyer space, and then what we'll do is then analyze the theatre space in the online version of Ekahau AI Pro. So I've done the survey, and we're going to be analyzing the Pullman Conference SSID. So what you can see here is a few of the access points. Broadcasting, let me just filter actually to just the Pullman Conference SSID. And now you can see we've got the 3 orange access points, 2.4 gigahertz coverage, 6. So they haven't yet upgraded to 6 gigahertz, so we're just going to be analyzing 2.4 and 5. So if I come back to the 5 gigahertz and I look at the primary signal strength, you can see that in the suites it's pretty good. But in that kind of like foyer lounge area, it's a little bit on the lower side, getting closer to that threshold where we wouldn't like the Wi-Fi to be. So if I now jump to the secondary signal strength, let's take a look at that. And now you can see it's gone a bit grey. So without good secondary coverage, it's likely that roaming might not work so well, or the redundancy, if you have an access point that fails, you're not going to have that backup coverage to provide signal there. Okay, so that's what it's like on 5, and this is what it's like on 2.4. So the next thing that I'd like to take a look at is the channel interference, like how much CCI have we got on the network. So if I look at the channel interference view, on 5 gigahertz, it looks not too bad. How about on 2.4? So let me just draw your attention to what we're looking at right now. If you can see on the top right hand of the screen, you can see it's channel 1, 2.4, channel 44, 5 gigahertz, then down it's 9, 136, 100. I heard someone say nice, yeah. So what they're actually adopting here is on 2.4 gigahertz is a 15913 channel plan. Now, I'm not a 100% hater against the 15913 channel plan. I'm a 99.9% hater towards the channel 159 plan, mostly because when you're going to do an analysis of channel interference, if I now take a look at not just the conference SSID, but all access points that we can hear during the survey, you see it starts to look a bit more different, because now we see more access points that are broadcasting. And the reason why I'm 99.9% against the 159.13 channel plan is because, especially in central London, the likelihood of you not being around or hearing another 2.4 network is extremely low, and especially because they're probably going to use a 1.6.11 channel plan, and it's much better to have co-channel interference than to have adjacent channel interference. Why is that? Because you understand what I'm saying now, I'm speaking English. Mac, if you was to speak Polish to me, shut up, I can't understand that anyway. So I'll just talk over him, and it causes this like collisions and interference, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. And there's actually a real nice AP here that I've got highlighted that's using channel 6 and 40 megahertz wide. That's real good. No. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. So I would recommend going back to a 1.6.11 channel plan for here. And then the other thing that I like to do when I'm doing my surveys is I go to specific positions in the space, and I like to run a speed test and then correlate that position of the speed test to a place on the map. So what you can see here is the notes. If I click on this and then open it, you can see that I've gone to this location, I've run a speed test, we can see the RF data, and you can see I'm getting around 47 meg up and down and some other information around the Wi-Fi. And if I look at the other location I went to here, again, you see about 47 up and down. Why do we think that is? Yeah, you can tell you used to work here. Okay, so yes, they are rate limiting the Wi-Fi here. That's why I'm getting that consistent speed test data up and down. We'll talk about rate limiting when I jump back to my slides in a second, because I want to draw your attention to one other speed test that I run, which is just here. And when I went into that kind of like, just where that photo booth is outside, I went there, I did the speed test, and I noticed that why am I only now getting 16 meg down and 30 meg up? I was like, what has happened here? And what actually happened is my device, it roamed from 5 gigahertz to 2.4 and then back to 5 gigahertz. So the SSID for the conference is being broadcasted on 2.4 and 5, and you might think that's not really like too much of an issue. But if you give your client devices a chance to roam to a different frequency band by having them broadcast in the same SSID in both frequency bands, there's a chance that it might happen, and that is what happened to me here. And I was also a bit confused. I am normally a little bit confused anyway, but I was really confused. So I was standing here, and I was like, why is this AP not broadcasting? I mean, I was stood here, and I was like, I can see the access point. It's got lights on. We can have a conversation about, is this the most optimal place to install an access point? Probably not. But I was like, why have I got bad signal strength standing here when there's an access point quite literally 1-2 meters away from where I'm standing? So now if I look at this access point, this orange access point, and we take a look at the SSIDs that are broadcasting, you can see the conference Pullman SSID is here, this in orange, on this orange AP. But if I click on the pink one, and then I take a look here, for some reason it's not being broadcasted. And then same for this one over here as well. And look at the coverage from these two access points. They're physically there, and they would have provided better coverage for me in that space. So I can only assume it's a misconfiguration, unless there's some reason why they wouldn't want to broadcast it there, but it didn't really make that much sense to me. But what I think that highlights is the power of Ekahau and speed test for me to notice that live there, to understand that something may have gone wrong. And it's so easy for a misconfiguration, right? Not put the right APs in the right group or profile, and now for some reason they've done the hard work, they've run their cables, bought the access points, installed them, and they just don't broadcast the conference SSID. That doesn't make any sense to me. So let me stop mirroring. Live demo number 1 works well-ish. Okay. I've made a little video of what happened there. So you can see I'm connected on 2.4 gigahertz, channel 5, and then it roams over to 5 gigahertz, and you see the impact that it was having on my device, like the lower throughput speeds. What you was noticing that I was doing in the survey app, though, is I was going to my analyzer application and then running the speed test, screenshot, going to a specific location, using a note, uploading the image there so I can correlate where I was on the map to understand where I need to go and troubleshoot. So I said to the product guys, I was like, you know what, that would be really nice if we could just do that in the survey app. So that is something that we're going to be introducing soon. But the reason why you see the poor performance in that space is because when you allow the SSIDs on both bands, that's why a device can jump from 5 to 2.4 gigahertz and backwards and forwards. So this is our optimizer. It analyzes your network for you, gives you these recommendations. And when it comes to your SSID configuration, if you've got just 2.4 and 5 gigahertz cable access points, I still recommend have a single band SSID. So just have like legacy 2.4, and then corporate on 5, where I say it's a little bit more tricky or needs to think about is that if you've got access points that support 6 gigahertz, I don't think you really want to have one SSID on 2.4, one on 5, and one on 6, because that's just a bit confusing for your users. You see all of these SSIDs, you're like, which one do I connect to? So to keep it simple, I think the best practices for Wi-Fi, if you've got 6 gigahertz cable access points, on 5 and 6, use that for your corporate main connectivity, and then on your 2.4, have that as your legacy, would be what I'd recommend. And I do want to talk about rate limiting, because I still think there's a massive misconception around rate limiting. So the other day I was with a customer and they were showing me their network and they showed me all their SSIDs and every single one had a different rate limit. So corporate was 25, VIP guest was 5, and then regular guest was 2. So I was like, well, thanks, can I get the VIP at 5 meg, please? And I said to the customer, I just said, like, what is your reasoning for rate limiting your users over the Wi-Fi? And their response was that, I don't want them to use up all of my internet bandwidth. And I said, okay, fair enough, but you do know that isn't stopping them from taking up your internet bandwidth. And then I explained to him, what happens if I've got a 1 gig file, and I'm going to download that over Wi-Fi, I'm going to be doing that no matter what speed you let me do. So I'm going to be downloading my 1 gig file at my fastest data rate that I can possibly achieve, or if you cap me at 2 meg, I now take a really long time to download my movie or whatever it was, and I'll make the Wi-Fi worse for everybody else. So the best practice is don't rate limit your users on Wi-Fi unless you really don't like them. Okay, so I was mentioning what I was doing in the survey app with the speed test, and I spoke to the product team, and they was like, you know what, Matt, you don't normally have good ideas, but this one's not too bad. So this is going to be something that's coming soon to the survey application. You'll be able to go to a specific location, do the speed test, and just capture it in the survey app. Because we are integrated with speed test, you're going to be able to do that in our survey application very soon. If you've used our Analyzer application recently, you would have seen that we've got the speed test integration there already, and we have a new feature coming where you're going to be able to see this nice, pretty utilization graph down the bottom to see your throughput, upload and download, and you'll be able to see that data there. I think it's looking pretty nice. I know that quite a lot of you are familiar with Ekahau products and what they look like, and I thought, you know what, maybe it'd be nice to show you a couple of our speed test applications. So this is our speed test insights, and what you can do is you can draw around a building or your hotel, office, etc., and you can now go back and look at consumer-initiated speed test data for whatever time you kind of suggested. We can look at speeds over cellular and Wi-Fi. So what we did, we've got the venue details here, and we focused it in on the Wi-Fi. And over the last year or so, there's around 100-ish tests, and this download was about 47 meg, upload average around 40 meg. Now, if I think about that small amount of information we've just seen in Ekahau, plus the data with speed test, I think you would agree that we found already some optimizations that we could make to improve the network here, yeah? You don't seem convinced. I promise you they would make some good improvements with that data that we have found. And that's the power for me, that bringing our brands together with Ookla, that speed test, Ekahau, Downstate, and Root Metrics, it gives us such a good opportunity to have an understanding of our building connectivity, because let's be honest, we all want to be like Happy Alan, okay? Happy Alan on his way to his favorite venue, his favorite office, conference. I think he might have been at a stadium recently, right? He hasn't mentioned it much, if you know Alan. But yeah, you want to go there? No one's come in here today and said, you know what, Matt, Ekahau Open Reality, can you run some cables to all of our seats so I can plug it into my laptop or get my phone connected? We all want to be mobile. We all want to be connecting wirelessly, and we want that to work well. We don't want to be like Sad Alan. Sad Alan, when you get there and it doesn't work very well, you're going to be disappointed, right? So it's good to have this knowledge, and the data that we can pull now to give you insights to improve the connectivity for your building, I think is great. Okay. I'm nervous, man. Another live demo of what's going on. Let's take a look at the theatre. I'm only nervous because I want to make sure that everything comes up. Okay. Where did I put it? Here we go. Alrighty. So here is our Ekahau Cloud. And I'm going to open AI Pro Online. And let's take a look at the survey data for the theatre in AI Pro Online. So this is just the survey data. I haven't drawn any walls. I haven't done anything. We can just see the coverage from the access points. But there's some cool things that you can do with measured survey data in Ekahau AI Pro Online. So without having to draw kind of like any walls or obstacles, I can get an access point. I can move it around and see like the change in heat map for the space. So that's cool. in the theater here, we have 3 access points, and again, you can see there's just 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Coverage is good, secondary coverage, no problem. Channel interference is fine. What worries me a little bit about having 3 access points in a space like this is capacity. So we have a capacity visualization here in Ekahau, and if I take a look at the area, now, what I've done is I've configured some devices on the different frequency bands and assigned a traffic type. If I was to ask the 350 people in the room, how do you do capacity planning, I would likely get 350 different answers. So what I've done here is I've taken the rough rule of thumb of there's 400-ish seats in here, and people will have 2 devices, most likely sometimes 3, but the likelihood of you using them both at the same time and everyone being associated is quite low. So I've configured here around 350 users. So what you can see at the moment is not meeting the capacity requirements for the theater that I have configured. And I'm just going to jump back to our signal strength view. The other thing I want to point out is that I've put like 120 clients on 6 gigahertz. However, there's no 6 gigahertz radios here, so that 120 clients would have to go back onto 5 and to 2.4. So the likelihood of being able to supplement all of those devices at the same time will probably be quite low. And especially with you guys and girls, you'll be using a lot of Wi-Fi devices quite intensively compared to some of the other audiences this theater may have. So what would I do differently here? I wouldn't go like too crazy different, to be honest. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab these 3 Ruckus APs, and I'm going to swap them out for another Ruckus access points, and I'm just going to make them the 6 gigahertz capable one and Wi-Fi 7. So let's take a look at doing that. So I simply just select it, and then instantly all of those access points just changed, and now they're Wi-Fi 7 ones. So what I would do differently, I feel comfortable personally having 4 access points in here. So I would probably move these 2 slightly back, and then I would move this one from being on the stage probably to around here, and I can copy and paste, and I can put that over here. Something like this makes me feel a little bit more comfortable around the amount of clients connected to per radio in the theater space. Now, if I take a look at the capacity view again, how does it look? You can see like this much more balanced, but it's not quite like super evenly spread between the access points. And well, why is that? So if I go back to the signal strength view, they're using access points that support integrated omnidirectional antennas. And an omnidirectional antenna, you can probably guess in here, each access point completely floods the whole theater. So no matter where you go to sit, you're probably just going to be connecting to one access point. And you can kind of visualize that now with our inspect tool. So I'm just going to turn off the channels for a second. And what you can see is that let's simulate that I come in from this door. You can see it's saying I'm connected to this access point here. And as you move around, you can see the roaming candidate comes to this access point. But no matter where I go in the theater, it doesn't roam away from that access point at all. So it's hard to do high-density auditoriums and stadiums and large theater halls with omnidirectional antennas. So let me show you what I would do slightly differently, and I'm going to do it using a predictive model simulation. So here is like pretending we haven't done a survey. I've just uploaded the floor plan, scaled it, just drawn the walls, and nothing else. We're going to place simulated access points. So we see nothing in here at the moment. So what I would do differently is I would go to the device tool. I would find an access point that's got some directionality. So I'm just going to use the Cisco integrated 9176 D1. I'm happy with that. I would place it here, and first thing I need to try and do is like configure it optimally for where it is. So it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be on the wall at 2.4 meters, probably around 5 meters in here. So I'm going to change that from being on the wall to ceiling mounted, change the height, and then make it 5 meters. And now you can see even this one at the moment covers the whole auditorium. But what you need to watch out for is the EIRP. So the passive gain from the antennas that's attached to the radio of the access point will basically add that to your transmit power. So I would actually turn it down like super low for this example, like maybe something like 1. And that still gives you an EIRP of 10, but you can see now how this access point doesn't cover and flood the whole theater. And then what I can simply do is just copy and paste, put them around like this. Anyone disagrees with me, by the way, feel free to say, no, I wouldn't design like that. I'm not going to listen to you, but you can say it if you want. So now you can see where I've placed the access points, and if I look at the capacity now, you can see that there's a much more even balanced spread between the devices because we're controlling the cell sizes with directional antennas. And if I go back to, let's say, the signal strength view and the inspect tool, and now if I like simulate coming in from over this side, I just click on the map, move around, I'm connected to this AP, I walk up the stairs, shuffle past everybody on the back row, don't get touchy-feely, walk around here, and now I've roamed to this access point. So even though this is like a relatively small theater space, you can see how like using the right type of access point and antenna, you can control and design the auditorium and high-density stadiums. And let's take a look at how it looks in 3D. Fancy, yeah? No? Okay. Okay, so now we can design for real complex models, so like in the auditorium with tiered seating, and you can build out the surfaces and change all the different heights and things like that. So now it looks more how the actual auditorium is, and you can see it in the in Ekahau AI Pro Online, and this is coming very soon, so you'll be able to play around with that. Let me jump back to, where did I, right. Okay, back to the slides, because that was cool, but you can now do stadiums with Ekahau, right? So if you need to design like overhangs, if you want to put a concert in the football pitch and use your favorite Aruba access point and external antenna down there and build out real complex models of your space using Ekahau, that is going to be something very soon that you'll be able to do. Alrighty. So let's say that you've got a bunch of networks, and I don't know, maybe you're a managed service provider, you do lots of networks, you've got like maybe like 10, 100, even more, and you want to analyze them kind of remotely and see how they're performing. We now have a feature in Optimizer called the Remote Optimizer, where you can grab the API key from your vendor, and then you can pull it into Optimizer, and what it's going to do is going to analyze all of your networks for you and then give you some recommendations. So I asked AI, I was like, make this image of me crossing my fingers and praying to the live demo gods. Maybe I should have used this earlier in my presentation when I first come out, and it might have worked okay. But let's jump into Optimizer and then have a quick look. So I go to Optimizer. You can see that this preview live networks is here. I just simply click on it, start now, input my API key, next, pick my organization, go. And then I pick which one I want. If you had, we've got 3 networks in here. If you had 30 or whatever, you could see all of them. I can open it, and then what I can see is goes to fetch that data. And now I can see these cards, and it gives you these recommendations on ways that you can improve the network. So it pulls in the floor plan and where the APs are based on your dashboard configuration. You can take a look at other things like the minimum basic rate. And now you see why we don't let Miko have access to the dashboard anymore, because this is some bad configuration, Miko. Yeah. But we can look at some other things too around like manager frame protection, encryption, our SSID configuration. So clearly we practice what we preach at Ekahau by not having the same SSID on both frequency bands. Again, I'm going to blame Miko. But there's a couple of new things here. So we can now see a roaming tab, which if you've got .1x SSIDs, we will highlight if you've not enabled 11R. So for example, on here, it is enabled, but on this one, it's disabled. And if you're using .1x SSIDs, you want to have R enabled for faster roaming. So that is available now in Optimizer, and you can actually push this to your network. So you go deploy to network, you can see the changes that it's going to make, scroll down, hit next, next again, and then you have 2 options. You can create a profile, the Ekahau best practices profile that get pushed, or you can, if you're feeling brave, you can create the profile and apply it when you push it. You pick your option, hit confirm, deploy. I'm not going to do that because I'm sure there's people in the Helsinki office working right now, and they won't appreciate us maybe messing with their config too much. So that's the remote optimizer. We also have something else new as well. So let's say that you've done a survey of your space, and maybe you did it a few months ago, and then someone calls you and says, "Oh, Matt, the Wi-Fi isn't working so great now since you was last here. Can you maybe have a look and see like what's going on and what's caused that?" We now have an integration where you can actually connect your API key to Ekahau AI Pro Online and visualize and see what's changed since your last survey. Again, okay, I'm going to do another live demo. And I'm going to go to AI Pro Online. Let me, I don't want that anymore now. Refresh. And I'm going to open a project file from the Helsinki office. And what you can see here is the coverage and the channels that the access point was using at the time of the survey. So if I just zoom in and focus on this access point, you can see it's using channel 136 on 5 gigahertz, channel 5 on 80, and we can see the transmit power. You can see like all of the other information as well here too. And yeah, we purposely made the network not so great for a demo example so that you can see like things like secondary coverage doesn't look good. But what I can do now, if I go to actions and then connect to live network, proceed, add my API key, connect, and then wait a few moments, and what you're going to see is it actually now fetches and pulls that data back into Ekahau. So now if I zoom into this access point, you can see we've got a nice little cloud icon, and the channels have changed, and also the transmit power. So maybe like RM's kicked in, made some changes to transmit power, and it's turned them down a little bit, and now you've got some coverage holes. Or maybe it's introduced some channel interference, and your users are having some random disconnections. It's a nice way to pull that data back from your vendor and visualize it in Ekahau, and you can also choose to pull that data in on whatever kind of refresh rate you like. So you can turn this on, you can have every 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and now you get to see even more live data with Ekahau. So the live demos, the live demo gods were nice to me for them, so thank you very much. Okay, a few other things that are coming to Ekahau very soon is the custom reporting. So I know this is a feature that you've been looking forward to for a while now, so how are we going to do this? It's going to be nice, 3 easy steps. Just define your report structure, configure the components, and then generate the report. So if you've ever used a kind of online website builder where you can just drag and drop and move things around, imagine it's going to be a little bit like that. Very simple to do, but very customizable. And you can input your cover page, you can put your logo in there, and then you can build out what you want to see in the custom report. And once you've done that, you can save as a template. So maybe you want your design to be something, and then you want your assessment to be a different kind of report. And maybe you've got an installation team, and you want to provide them just the APs on the map without any heat map, completely configurable. So you can choose heat map on, heat map off, AP names, channels, anything you want. And when you generate the report, you can have it in PDF or Word. No problem at all. Should we all answer together? Hello? Yeah, at the conference. Can't talk right now. A couple of other things coming to the Ekahau AI Pro Online is for the heat map visualization, so offsets, so custom device profiles for your measured, for your designs, changing the height visualization for 2D and 3D, and also changing the color of the default green. Does anyone use non-default green? Miami Vice, okay. Nice. Anyone else use a different color scheme? Yeah? Fair enough. When I first started using Ekahau 15 years ago, I decided to change my heat map legend to be red hot going to blue cold, and I sent my nice design to the customer, and he opened the report and called me instantly. He goes, "Why have you done such a shit design for me?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "It's just red everywhere." I was like, "Yeah, red hot is good." He goes, "No, red bad." I went, "Okay." Ever since then, I stick with green and no more bad designs. Okay, I don't feel like I could stand up in front of all of you beautiful people and not talk about our Just Go survey mode. If you don't know what this is, you can connect your iPhone or iPad that has the LiDAR scanner to the Sidekick 2, simply walk around your building, and what we do is we will generate the floor plan as you walk around, track your location, survey path, and do everything for you as you move around. Anyone here not seen this feature before? I can see you look quite, it's like, wow, that's cool, man. I want to try that out, yeah. Come by the booth and we can do it live together. But this has saved me already so many times. But what I love is that there are people that send me their examples of their Just Go survey. I'm just trying to scan the I see him. How long ago was this? Yeah, so it was only very recently. One of my lovely friends in the audience went to a warehouse, got to the warehouse, and they were like, "Yeah, we got the floor plans," and then gave him the floor plans, and it was just an Excel sheet. Not to scale, just some blocks were built and whatever, and he was like, "What am I going to do with this?" And I think back to the time where me and Mac, we was doing a warehouse for a customer in the UK. We had the exact same thing. We drove hours to this warehouse, got there, and they're like, "Yeah, here's the floor plans," and here's an Excel. And we didn't have the Just Go survey at that time. It was like, great. I cannot use this to do a survey with or give you an accurate design or analysis. But now look at this. How cool is that? You can see the AP locations. You can see there's issues clearly with coverage, primary and secondary coverage. You identify these problems now. You can see things like the channel interference, so there's some optimizations and improvements we can make with channel interference. But if you look down here, you see that there's a non-Wi-Fi device interfering, especially on 5 gigahertz. If we drill down into it and look at these spikes over here from the spectrum analyzer that's integrated to the Sidekick 2, you can see there's something over here, lots of devices causing problems with the Wi-Fi network. So I just think back to how difficult that would have been a few years ago to now having a solution that can provide that to you. And some of the feedback we got around Just Go is yeah, this is great, super cool, super intuitive to use. But it does provide you a sketch of your floor plan, so it wasn't super professional looking, and you had to do one whole continuous Just Go survey, so you had to walk the whole space without stopping. So phase 2 or version 2 of Just Go that's going to be coming very soon is you are going to be able to stop and start your Just Go survey, and it's going to generate a more professional looking floor plan for you as well. So I'm very excited to see that in motion. Packet capture, if you ever need to do some deep analysis or protocol analysis, the fact that the Psychic 2 has got 4 Wi-Fi radios inside of it, you can capture simultaneously in 4 channels at the same time. Or if you want to capture on all channels, you can. It's just going to wait a period of time on each channel and then move on. But now you can actually capture for up to 10 minutes. So that's been increased. I think it was 5? Yep, 5 now to 10. So if you really need to capture for a longer period of time to try and capture an issue that you're having, I mean, good luck looking through those hundreds of thousands of rows in your favorite protocol analyzer, but you can do that with packet capture as well. If you enjoy the playlist today and want to be like Disco Alan, you can download the Spotify playlist I put together. It is just FYI a lot of house music. That's my kind of vibe. You can download it from there. But if not, that's the end of my presentation. And I just want to say, summarize, lots of cool shit from Ekahau, and thank you very much.